Okay, guys, I know we are not in the suit, but I've had so much fun representing the flock as of late. Oh, probably should have buttoned this before the video. But anyway, we showed off these jerseys a little bit, I want to say, earlier this week. I have no idea whenever we showed them, but I got them, I want to say, 3 or 4 days ago. And yeah, I am so excited to announce that we are going to be hopefully doing some giveaways starting at the beginning of next month over on Patreon for everybody who's decided to support the show. So yeah, I am very excited about that. Please, if you are on Patreon and you are interested in a jersey, what you need to do is you need to go out there and shoot me a DM and tell me the name that you want on the back, tell me the number that you want on the back, and what your size is. Then I can go through, we can do the giveaway, I can pick some people at random, and if I pick you, then we can go through in your address and stuff. I don't want a bunch of people randomly sending their addresses. I'll reach out to you for that. But anyway, in this video, let's go through and let's talk about some Victor Oladipo trade impacts on what it's going to mean for Oladipo himself, what it's going to mean for some players in the Miami Heat, and what it's going to mean for the guys on the Houston Rockets. And let's go through and just identify what was traded. So Victor Oladipo ended up getting traded to the Miami Heat for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a pick swap. So here, very, very small price for Victor Oladipo. And yes, you go to Twitter and you just have people just tweeting, oh my God, what are we looking at? What was James Harden traded for earlier this season if this is them just giving away Victor Oladipo for free? Now, I'll say, guys, I understand a lot of people want to point the finger at the Houston Rockets, but what were they supposed to do in this scenario? They weren't going to get anything for Oladipo. I mean, yes, he has looked better over the past 30 days, but I think it's mainly been because they're trying to pump up his trade value. And if you look at his contract situation, they were either going to have to pay him this offseason, and I don't think you really want to pay Victor Oladipo that much money, or you're going to have to try to do whatever you can to get rid of him. So I think it's the smart decision to trade him for pretty much whatever you can get, despite the package being extremely underwhelming. But anyway, let's go through and let's cover the 3 players that were traded in this deal and what value they've been providing your fantasy basketball roster as of late. And with Victor Oladipo, if we were looking at his past 30 days, this is what I want to focus in on. And I will say he's been playing 37 minutes a game. So this is something that we are going to expect to drastically change going to Miami. I mean, with Victor Oladipo, I think the reason he was playing 37 minutes a game over the past 30 days is just the Houston Rockets trying to pump up that trade value to a point where they could get something in return. And with those 37 minutes, he was providing them a decent amount of production. The efficiency wasn't necessarily there, but you can't excuse away that based on the fact that he really didn't have any other playmakers around him. Opposing teams were able to focus in on him where they really didn't have to look anywhere else. So the efficiency was down, but you were seeing him come through with 3 3-point shots made a game, 25 points a game to go along with it, 5 rebounds and 5 assists. So those marks are great, and I will say, no, they are not going to continue to happen in Miami. There is literally no shot at this. What we are going to end up seeing is we are going to see the minutes played per game drastically go down. You're going to see the assists go down, the rebounds go down, the 3-point shots made per game go down, the field goal attempts, the points, whatever you're going to be talking about. Everything is going down besides the overall efficiency marks from the field, besides the turnovers, just because he will play a little bit more off ball. He'll play in a little bit of a more natural fit for him through this rotation where he's going to be a little bit more of a depth piece rather than someone that's having to generate offense. So with Victor Oladipo, I like the situation for an NBA move, but if we are talking specifically for fantasy basketball, really not good in the slightest. Okay, so now if we go over to what the Miami Heat ended up sending over, I mean, they sent Avery Bradley, who right now is not playing, but in his limited action so far this year, he really was a non-factor regardless. He's only played 10 games. In those games, he was only playing 21 minutes a game and averaging less than 9 points. So really with Avery Bradley, he was not an impact player on the Miami Heat. Of course, nobody's going to be expecting him to be that on the Houston Rockets. Nothing to talk about there. I just wanted to kind of bring it up and say that, yeah, I understand that usually whenever you're seeing these trades made, you're actually going to get some minutes open up in the rotation for a player like Victor Oladipo going to Miami. But the guys that were sent weren't necessarily guys seeing a ton of usage to begin with. And if we go over to Kelly Olynyk, over the past 30 days, he's actually played 13 games, 29 minutes a game, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and he is racking up some defensive production. So here with Kelly Olynyk, that is something that we can look at and go, you know what? It looks like he should probably be a natural fit alongside Christian Wood, where Christian Wood can kind of play the 5, Olynyk can play a little bit more of the 4, and because he is going to Houston, because this team really has nobody else, you would naturally expect him to see a decent amount of minutes played because they don't have the depth. They don't have the top end talent. Who else are they going to be playing minutes? So yeah, I think this is quite possibly a good thing for Kelly Olynyk, but for the case of Victor Oladipo, this is going to be very bad, and this is also going to be bad for some of the other players for the Miami Heat. If we go over to some of the other off-ball guards that they've been rolling out, we have both Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro, who were both names kind of, I don't want to say rumored heavily at the deadline, but they were definitely in conversations. They ended up staying with the Miami Heat. Obviously, you like that for Miami. But they've also been kind of disappointing for fantasy as of late, where if we're looking at the past 30 days, we've seen Duncan Robinson average 32 minutes a night. You've also seen him have a very poor mark from the field with only 39% of his shots being made. 3 3-point shots made a game, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. So here with Duncan Robinson, I mean, we all know what he is. He's a player that's going to be a catch-and-shoot guard. He's not going to be able to provide you really anything else at all. It's either the 3 balls going in or it's not. He's spacing the floor for Bam Adebayo. He's spacing the floor for Jimmy Butler to kind of drive and operate this offense. And the shots haven't really been going in as of late as well. He's not putting up that many. So Duncan Robinson, already a player that wasn't necessarily a massive impact for your fantasy basketball team, and I think it's even a little bit lower now. All right, so now let's go over to Tyler Herro, just pretty much a younger version. And over the past 30 days, I mean, he is near the bottom of the league in his field goal percentage, where he's shooting the ball at a 32% mark from the field. He's averaging 11.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. So for your point formats where field goal percentage really doesn't matter, there you can say, hey, he's a player that you can play whenever he projects to have a nice matchup. He's a player that you can slide through your rotation. But in those category formats, you're going, he's already someone that's coming nowhere close to your starting lineup. Throw in the fact that with Tyler Herro, he's now probably going to be losing some minutes to Victor Oladipo. So really hate what's going on with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro. If you could treat them as throw-ins to any deal to get an upgrade in your starting lineup heading into the playoffs, that's something that I'm going to look to do. And I think you may be able to do it with Tyler Herro just because he has the name value to go along with it. Okay, but anyway, let's go through and let's look over at Houston now. And the number 1 winner that we have had is going to end up being KPG, who should now see a significant bump up in his minutes played. He's already been very productive in terms of his per minute production. He's actually only averaging about 22 minutes a night, but in those minutes, he's been racking up a ton of points. He's actually also been providing assists and rebounds to go along with it. So now Victor Oladipo leaving this rotation and really nobody else of consequence coming in is obviously going to open up the opportunity for him to see a massive bump up in his expected opportunity and usage rate. So that's going to be something we are excited about. All right, so now let's go over to the general chat and let's see if we have any questions regarding this trade that we can answer. Okay, so G Turno is asking us, does Jimmy Butler's fantasy points per game go up or down in this Victor Oladipo trade? Here, with Jimmy Butler, it's going to be a little bit difficult to say just because we go, hey, you know what? He is obviously still by far and away the best guard on this team. There's nothing that's going to take that away from him. Victor Oladipo is not going to be the main generator of offense now. But we have to look at it and we have to go, okay, realistically, are we going to just see a few less possessions where we are going to be expecting Jimmy Butler to kind of drive everything for this team? Are we going to see Jimmy Butler possibly see his minutes dip down, just say by 2 minutes a game, as well as maybe a field goal attempt per game? So with Butler, I'll say his fantasy points per game, if we were just projecting them to either stay neutral, go down, or go up, I would say probably slightly go down, but to the point where I almost want to say it's neutral. Definitely don't want to be selling Jimmy Butler after this. He does have an extremely nice playoff schedule. So yeah, please keep Jimmy Butler. Okay, so let me go through and let's see if we have any other question. Yeah, okay, Zach is saying no, keep Butler for the fantasy playoffs. Yeah, man, I completely agree with that. Okay, so let's go through and see if we have any questions regarding this trade. I don't want to be answering questions about the other trades. I will be live streaming probably a few days from now. That way we can go through and answer all the general questions, but this is specifically a Victor Oladipo video, so I don't want to be focusing in on the Norman Powell, the Nikola Vucevic. I don't want to be focusing in on any of those deals. We're just going to be looking for this Houston and Miami situation. All right, so now let's go through. Zach is asking, any of these worth a drop for KPG? Thad Butler, Chris Boucher, or Robert Williams. Robert Williams has been on fire as of late, and with Boucher, that's also someone that's going to be seeing a bump up with Norman Powell, so I'd like to keep him as well. Thaddeus Young could be intriguing. Let me pull up his stats actually from the past 30 days, just because with Thaddeus Young, he's been very surprising, I will say. I did not necessarily expect him to come anything close to this type of usage and production, but you can't ignore the fact that he has been impressive for this team. So let me pull up his past 30-day stats. I will say initial thoughts are yes, we would make that move, especially considering the fact that Lonzo Ball ended up not getting traded, but we still want to just see these numbers to make sure we are not going crazy if we are going to be trying to answer this accurately. Okay, so over the past 30 days, we've actually had Thaddeus Young as the 54th player in terms of value over replacement, and he's come in at a very nice field goal mark where he's shooting 57% from the field, 13 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, a steal and a half, almost a block a game at the same time. So Thaddeus Young has looked very good. Obviously, Nikola Vucevic coming in is going to affect him, but Thaddeus Young was not seeing a ton of minutes played in this rotation anyway, where he was down at 24 minutes a game over the past 30. So it's going to be very close. Let's look up where Kevin Porter Jr. is. Kevin Porter Jr. is way further down on this list, but I'm going to be expecting him to take that bump up. I mean, his efficiency marks are nowhere close, so honestly, no, I wouldn't make that drop for Kevin Porter Jr., even though I am excited, even though we are going to be calling him a winner for this trade. I just think that you're going to be a little bit more optimistic with the other players that you currently have. Okay, so now let's go through. And San asking, is Victor Oladipo still going to be resting a lot even with the Heat? Yes, he's going to be resting. I don't necessarily think he's going to be taking off as many back-to-backs as he was with the Houston Rockets, because we know with the Rockets, that was a team that was not really playing for anything. This is a team that was best off trying to get a top 3 pick. I believe that's where their mark is protected, but it's completely different with Miami. Miami is playing in the Eastern Conference where they started slow. Everything is mixed up. So I think we are going to end up seeing Miami try to be aggressive in winning games down the stretch. Obviously, they're trying to get the best seed possible. And this is a team that isn't locked up. It's not like this is a top 3 team in the East right now. So I'll say Victor Oladipo is definitely going to be playing more games with Miami than he would have with Houston. The question of how much more is going to be a lot harder to answer, but I would say that we're not going to see him rest every back-to-back. Okay, so now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this live stream. I really hope y'all got something from it. Of course, if y'all not already, subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications. That way, when we go live, when y'all ask questions, I can come through and answer them. And we also do the premieres. We do everything. And yeah, that's it. If you have not already, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Y'all know what to do. And have a great day, guys.